All right, hard surfaces, part B. So let's grab all these and move these out of the way for now. And what we're going to end up doing with these, there's different setups, but what we need to do is find ways to add these together. We're going to add these onto other things. So if I come in here, say, and do, let's do a, let's go to actual geometry this time and just do something like, I don't know, box right here. And then let me do this there and take a look at it. And we don't really need it that big. So, I mean, we could just extrude a face out and everything like that too, but we'll just do like 150. Oh, that's too much. 150. Just to get, come on. And like 20. And then what we'll do, since we know it's a square, first before we go anywhere, is we'll collapse in the level poly. We'll go to 4, we'll grab this face, and we'll scale it in. Something like that, just to get that bevel that we were talking about. Okay, and then we can modify this. In fact, we could duplicate this and use it again. So let's just duplicate this before we start making more modifications for it. And then let's say we want to, let's put one of these triangles in here. Let me see how this would look. Go back to top here, look to go to this. And I'm gonna shift and copy because I don't want to use the originals. Like that. And then I'm going to push this back a little bit. And when I build these, I probably want to push them into the ground a little bit there. And then I'll grab this one and go back to top and just move it in position. And then probably scale it. Maybe that big. Move it over. Oops. Move it over here. Let's go to the middle. Or let's do something. Maybe we could even do all of this. Scale it out. Move it up. Move it over. In fact, what we should do is go V to copy it. Make sure you make copy that way, and we'll rotate it. I guess I get a shift and rotate it. Either way is fine. Like this. We'll get to there. We'll move this out. I want to have a bar through the middle of this, so we'll take this, move it in, and now I'm getting that what I want. And if I leave this on that, they're going to scale together. If I want to try and scale them individually, so maybe I'll get a middle that's a little bit different, I can do it that way, say. So back to top here, make sure I'm on top, and then we just want to move it into place. Maybe like this. And then what I'll do is I'll move this one over this way, this one up a little bit, and then over like that. Again, take this. Go to 2, grab these edges here. Just like that. And we'll do a chamfer. We're going to do a small chamfer on it. And at this point, I'm going to show you some tricks about chamfering too. So I've got this, and it's okay. I mean, we'll pull it back to 2, just keep it an even 2. Let's see if that's any better. It's maybe a little close, but you know, I just need to make sure they're equal. But I'll do it that much, like this. I'm gonna take back out of here, grab this one and just move it over. Oh, come on. Move it over just a little bit to try and even them out. Maybe pull this down is a better idea than pulling that one over. So we get some buffer zone in there, and then pull this up a little bit. You know, we get that. And if you want, you could even soften the way this looks, but let me change this to gray and show you what I mean here real quick. So, and that didn't work because it was already gray. There we go, gray, like this. And then what I'm going to do at this point is use a modifier. So I want to copy this first so you can see the difference. So this is what a bevel looks like, one simple bevel. And I'll turn off that edge mode, and I'll take this one. It's the same exact one, remember, it's just a duplicate. And I'm going to come in here and go weighted normals. I always say that, vertex normals. And I'll take a look at it. And then I probably want to play with that. Now I'm going to go blending a little bit down. And then you can see now I'm getting this rounded type feel to it. I can also divide it and do it by hand, but I wanted to show you how to use this stuff too. Don't ignore how those are floating, because you know that doesn't matter. What does matter is if I look at them and I notice that this doesn't have a smoothing group of its own, and then neither is this one. Wow. Jeez. I'll change this to a 3 as well. There we go. A little bit better. Okay, so I've got those kind of laid out. This, I'm still not crazy about the way the smoothing is going on here. I've played with this before. Maybe the smoothing is too much. Maybe the blending is too high. Maybe it needs to be up a little bit. You could also cut off the bottom there if you wanted to. I'm going to go ahead and do edge angle. No. But you see that I get this soft edge compared to this one. So that's good. All right, and then I'm going to come in here and we're going to take a look at this again from the top. So that's the difference. You get this hard edge or the soft edge from this weighted normals. And we're going to say probably we want some kind of screw inside of here or bevel thing. We could also come to this piece real quick and do a simple turbo smooth and then see if we can get it by smoothing groups to get it a little bit rounder like that. So then I'll do a shift and drag a copy of it. Hold on. Shift and drag a copy of it. I'm going to scale it down like that. Move it up here. And before I do the next thing, what I will do, and I should have done this one already, but we'll just do it this way. I should make another one like this, and I will make a, since it's already got the rounded and we can look at the polygons on here, we can go to 1 and edit poly mode and go to 1 and just, or 2. Oh yeah, let's not look at the final then. And what we'll do is we'll get rid of the center one for now. 2, and then we'll scale this in so we have a nice closed one. Then we'll come back out and W to move it, get out of there, click it. I'm gonna have super copy of it like this, and then I'm gonna come into this one, go to edit poly mode, and I'm going to grab an edge, and on this edge, in fact, the way you grab the edge on a tri thing like this is you go grab the vert, hold control and click on the edge mode, and you get to all the edges. And then I can do a connect on it, and then I can play with this, like doing 2 of them. And then I'll just grab this one, pull it up, and we'll grab this one. Here we go. So same thing, grab this, control, and grab all the dot verts that are connected to that edge. And we'll pull it up, and we're going to turn on our smooth at this point. And we're going to pull it up like this. Turn this off. And then, let's see, back to 2. See it in here, not show final. And we're going to take that edge and scale it outward. And then take this point, just the single one, and move it upward. We're going to check and see what our smoothing looks like. Okay, and then we'll come back to edge mode. And turn off the final. Scale it. And probably scale this one too. Like that. Show the final. Turn this off, and now we got this kind of button thing, so that's cool. Okay, so we'll take this one. I wanted 2 of these. So what we can do is take this one and, you know, in this case I don't really care about the rim because I have a rim. So I'm going to take this edge here and delete it. If I grab it, delete it. So I only have that. That's perfect. Okay, so I've got this piece. I'm going to copy it over to here, say okay, and scale it in. And we're going to scale it inside of here. And there's a reason I'm doing one at a time at this point, because you're right, we're probably going to do two. But I'll scale it in like this. I'm going to start looking at it on the side and see if they're in the right position that I want them to be in. Maybe pull it in a little bit more. And then I can move it down a little bit more so I can get a harder edge on that. So I still get that bevel. And then I'm going to make it a ratchet. So I'm going to grab this sucker. I'm going to pull it over here like that. I'm going to scale it in. And bam, I'm scaling it to be inside of this dome right here. So we'll pull this up. And we'll go to top again. We just needed to be on top. We'll pull this over. And there we go. So now we have all these three pieces together. And this is sometimes where I'll attach them. So I'll take like this one and I'll say, we'll call this inset bolt. I don't think bolt's probably the right word, but inset hex. There we go. Bolt. And then I'll take it and I'll collapse down editable. Well, I'll collapse down to editable poly. And then I will go to attach and I'll attach this one. I'll make sure we're getting the right ones in this one. And then come back up, get rid of attach, zoom back out, F3, top Z, get rid of our poly. Now we have this. Now I can always come back in and say I want this to be smaller if I do, and stuff like that. So there you go. And then I can grab all of this and say, okay, I want this whole thing to be smaller. So I can shrink it down here. And then I'll just move it over here to the corner. And now I've got this editable edge. And I'm still not crazy about the way this is going. So I'm gonna go back in here, go to this edge here, and I'm gonna give it another subdivision and see if that helps at all. I'll go all the way around it. I'll put a cut. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Push the wrong one. Put a cut in, and then see what that does. Take that off. So a little bit better. Let's just take this edge that we just made and turn it on edge constraint so it doesn't move its position. We just pull all the way down here, like that. And now we've got those nice rounded edges and it doesn't feel like it's doing something weird. So I've got that one done. And again, we could put more stuff inside of here. Totally good. Just not what we're doing here. So come back to this, and if you want, you can grab all of these pieces and attach them together, or you could group them if you want to use that old tool, which is totally fine. And probably, now I think about it, probably the reason this was being weird was because I didn't delete the bottom here. So let me come back to this, go to 4, take this off, not move it, but just take it off, delete, and then let's see real quick. If I backspace, delete that, and then show the weighted normal. Yeah, that was it. It was just trying to curve to the bottom piece. So there you go. So there's that. If you want to group it together, that's another thing you can do. It's a really old school way of doing it, but let me make sure I'm grabbing all the pieces here. This one, this one, this one. You can come up here and just say group and group them together and call this doodad or something. Anyway, so that's kind of what we do, and we get these whole sets going on, and I'm gonna build a bunch more and then I'll speed through it and I'll show you. And that's what I want you all to do this week, and I'm gonna put it in the homework. But and that's all you need to think about, or that's one of the things you need to do. And the more creative you get with your tools or the shapes you make, the more creative you'll get results. The results will be more creative for you. So you'll see me add more, I'm sure, and take some out, or not probably take them out, but leave them. But you can see that I got all this detail, and believe it or not, now that it's one piece, I can grab it too. And by the way, if you do use group, it's totally fine. Just make sure that if you need to ungroup it, you ungroup it. Don't open it, because that doesn't mean it's unbroken. It means it's still a group. I don't use groups very often, but if I did, that's why. So I'll come back in here. This is enough of a reason to do it. So again, we got these nice smooth edges with not much, but just a single poly cut because of the the way it's set up. If you want to edit one of them individually, you can do that too. You can come inside of open and you can come to this, and then you can come to, let's say, blending it a little bit higher now, or down. Yeah, I think that works pretty good. Okay, so that's what we're talking about, and that's what we're doing. So let me speed through some of this stuff. Again, all that matters is what it looks like from the top. You don't care that things are floating and stuff. We'll deal with some of this stuff where it is in the space compared to each other inside of ZBrush, or inside of Substance Designer, but or Substance Painter. But for now, just get these all set up, and when we go to the Substance Painter part, I'll show you how to set them up so they all read. Okay? All right, let me speed through this. Okay, so we've done a few of these little extra pieces that I probably could have done before. But let's talk about doing something a little bit more exciting, visually stimulating and stuff. I mean, we want to put rings in here. We want to put tubes in here. Those are easy enough. I'm trying to figure out the easiest way to show you how to do parts that are a little bit more exotic or a little bit more work. So, like, I can make things that have these nuts or these bolts in them. You know, all I have to do is, like, we probably should start naming your stuff too. So convert this to poly. We'll call this inset bolt. They're called block bolts, but I could totally make them up. Not bolty. Okay. And then we'll attach these pieces together. And don't forget, even if I attach them, I can come back out and unattach them. So let's attach this one like that. So we have all these pieces separate. We have all these pieces the same. It's totally easy to break them apart like we've talked about. But let's make something a little bit more like I said, exotic. So let's use those same tools we made for this to make something a little bit more interesting. So if we come in here and we go back to rectangle and we draw a, let's try a circle. Let's do a circle, and then we do a rectangle. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to cut chunks out of this so it has some divots and stuff. So I'm going to go in here and go rectangle, and then I'm going to make a rectangle probably about the way I like it, like that maybe. And then I'm going to change this and say that the corner radius is a little bit higher, like that. And then we'll scale them in. Let's do 20. Doesn't really matter the length, but let's do, or actually the width in this case. So 150 is fine. No, let's do 125. Okay. And we'll pull this in a little bit, and then we also have to pull this down a little bit just to get something like that. I'm going to cut holes in this. So the first thing I need to do is set my pivot point to the pivot point of this. I'm going to set this is where I want it to be. In fact, the best way to do it is use this quick align, my quick align, which will let me select the next object I want to click align it to, and it'll align it to that. Then I can move it straight over, and I know that it's in the center just by default, right? I don't have to have it that far in either. Let's just do it to there. Next thing I want to do is do an array, but before I do that, if I do an array right now, it's going to go around the center of this. So I want to do an array around the center of the pivot point. Insert, by the way, is edit pivot point is the shortcut, but if you didn't know that, and you can come over here and push that button too, but it's insert. And then the other cool shortcut is Shift A, which lets you grab this. So Shift A is now I'm in that mode. So if I say Shift A with the pivot point set and I click on this one, now the pivot point of this object is there. And if I go back to insert and get out of there and I rotate, you know, I'm rotating around this. So that's what we want. Then we come over to the array tool and do stuff like tool array. It's so funny because array used to be in here. No, it's not there. Yeah, and even for a while it was inside of the align tools. I don't think they have it out here anymore for us to play with. We have to find the shortcut or make a shortcut. Anyway, so we want to turn on the preview. Let's move this out of the way here. Turn on a preview, and we're going to rotate it in the Z. No, I'm sorry. That's totally not what I wanted. Cancel. Redo that. Say 0 there. And then we don't want it to be an instance. Make sure that's off. It should be. Actually, you know what? So this is the move. Oh, my bad. So it should be around the Z. Yeah, see, I was just looking at the wrong thing. And then I'm going to come here and figure out, I want, let's say I want 4 around it total. And then I can just do the account 4 divided by 360, you know, pull up your calculator here. I used to have a shortcut for this on my thing, but the calculator says, I don't know if I do 4 or not, but let's see, divided by 360 or 360 divided by 4. 90, right? So if we do 90 degrees, I don't know, my brain's not here today. Give me a break. 90, there, that does that. Yeah, I mean, that works pretty good. Ignoring, don't forget the gray circle is not the actual, it's this. So, do we want that? Yeah, sure, why not? Let's just do that. Okay, so then what I would do is I would come into one of these and say convert to editable spline, and I'd attach all the edge ones first because I want to do it a little bit more interesting, and I'm going to rotate them just like this, just 9 or 45 degrees, so we got something closer to that. Okay, and then maybe that's too deep. You know, there's a bunch of stuff we could do different, but let's play with this. We'll leave it this way for now, and then, you know what? No. Let me come back before I did that. Let me pull this out a little bit. I'm sorry, it was bugging me. And let me go back to my array. I actually remember I just moved that, so I want to go Insert, Shift A, click on this object, Insert, and I'll be out of the Shift A and the center pivot point. And then I want to come over to Array tool, and I want to say Preview, of course, and it's going to show me what I had, but I think what I want is different. Yeah, so let's just, yeah, we'll do that. Say okay. Then I'm gonna grab all of them like this, and I'm gonna rotate them all, but hold shift. So now I've got them all at a 45-degree angle, so now I've got them rotating around the center, they're cutting in. I don't think I want the top one and the bottom one, so I'll just delete those. And yeah, that's kind of cool. It's giving me some kind of breakup in space here. So I'll come back to this, go to create. Now that they're all positioned correctly, I guess I didn't have to attach them. I'm gonna say convert to editable spline, and then I'm going to attach all these pieces back in like this. And then I'm going to go to these, grab this one, and turn on Boolean. But this time I don't want a union, because if I union them, it's going to make them stick out like that. I want to cut in, so I'm going to go to subtraction and subtract. Oops, let me grab this one and go Boolean and subtract this. If I had them all as one piece, it would still probably make me do it this way. Okay. And then I can get out of that, and now I've got this cool form, and I can just go back and do what we did a second ago. Change it to an editable poly, like this, and this I'm going to go up. So we'll just say bevel, go to poly mode, grab this poly, go to bevel, bevel up, and we'll bevel it in a little bit more than that, maybe just a tad. We just want enough to show it from the top like that. See, we don't need a lot. We just need to make sure that it reads when we have normals on it. Okay, and then we could even come in and say, let's try and see how this explodes when we do here, let me do this, grab that and go to control, and we'll grab all my edges that are connected to it. Let's see what chamfer does. It's probably gonna freak it out. And actually it didn't. That's pretty cool. So we can get that chamfered edge just to pull it back a little bit like that. Okay, and then we've got that, and then we can come in here and do something like X weighted normals on it, and we get this nice beveled edge piece. There's some things that are being funky right here, and that's probably because of the ingon. So how do we fix the ingon problem? We go back to editable poly, we come to this middle piece that we have all shaped out now, and we try something here. We're gonna go 3. First off, let's grab, yeah, okay. We'll go to 3 to go to edge mode, but it's gonna grab the interior edge. And we'll scale it in just a little bit and see if we do this. Sometimes that works, but you know what? That's gonna be a problem overlapping right here. So what do? Well, we scale it in a little bit. And probably we do it in half. That's probably what we're gonna do. But I'm not going to worry about that right now. We're just going to go back to the way it was. If there's a little aberration and stuff, you can probably take your time and make it perfect. You can cut in some pieces so they don't do that, but it actually looks pretty good on the weighted normal side. It's got some interesting things going on here. I probably could take that smooth down too much. Turn up the iterations, down the iterations. Yeah, it's fine. Remember, this is gonna be a small piece. So we have this piece now, okay? So what else could we do? We could cut holes in it if we wanted to. We'd want to do that before it was an editable poly. So how do we get that back to an editable spline? Well, if we come here and grab this outside edge, and then come down to here and say create shape from spline, it's gonna ask you want smooth or linear, and you just let it say smooth. Well, maybe linear would work. Let's do that again. Create shape from editable spline. We'll try linear. Bam. Okay. So now we've got a new piece that, if we want, we can move this whole thing out of the way, and we've got a whole brand new piece, exactly like the last one. And then what we would do is we'd come into the shape and we go circle, and we go like, I don't know, something like, oh, looks like I did a weird thing here. Okay, I'm gonna do one here. I'm looking at somebody else's example here. I'm gonna look at one here. You know, and then if I wanted that, I could shift and copy it here, like that, and then grab both of them and shift and copy them down so that they're the same here. And then come back to here and say attach, and grab bam, 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 and then turn to editable poly. Boom, and it's got those holes. So when I do my bevel, I grab my base and do my bevel, my goodness, Oops. Let me pull this. I gotta grab the face melon. Then we can pull this in. Not too much again. Now we have more holes and stuff, so we probably want to come in, and this one we might want to come in and at least give it some subdivisions to work with. But anyway, you get the idea. I could even just take that edge right here and shift and drag down. That way I don't have to worry about the cap. In fact, I probably could do all of them like this. I could just grab the whole thing and I grab all those edges, grab it down, and then I wouldn't want the edges on the outside to scale out or in. I want them to scale out, so I got it scaling out. It's a little bit wonky because of this, but you know, we can do it this way, and then let's see. Hello. Yeah, I'm not crazy about it, but you get the idea. And we grab all these, and if these will be better. Shift and drag down, and then scale in, and we do by their own. They'll all scale into this like that, and then we can just cap them if you want or whatever. So it's, you know, it depends on what you want to do. You could also just take this piece. I mean, that's the problem with dancing with these kind of things, is that this piece is all clean and everything. So all we have to do is take it up here like this and put it to there, and then take one of these and drag it into here. That. Pull it up like this, easy, and then scale it in, scale it smaller, move it over, put one there, like that, and we can use an array if you want to make it perfect. So again, insert, Shift A, click here, insert, array. So array, we come here like this. We show preview, and they're going to be kind of in the right spot. And really, we can get rid of the ones we don't want super easy, so we'll just keep going and change this to 45 maybe. There we go. Because I don't want these, but I do want those. So I'll say, okay, and then I'll grab these two and delete them. And then I always like to make sure that I haven't, of course I grabbed the wrong thing. Okay, I just want to make sure there wasn't any extra. And if I decide these are too big, which I kind of feel like they are, I'm going to scale them as long as this is on scale individually. When I scale them, it should have done them individually, but if not, I can just do it. They're fine for now. So, you know, you get that, and then we change this to the gray again. Bam. Okay. And we have that, and then we can do other interesting objects just by that same methodology, right? Delete this one because that was a nightmare. I can take this and lift it up over here. All right, so we have some examples, and I'm going to do a speed run through the rest of them to give you guys more examples of what we're trying to shoot for. Looking up kit bash for, you know, hard surface objects is a good thing to look up for examples. But I'll try and get some of these stuffs out next, and we'll see how it goes. Thanks.